Is Jurassic Park for the Sega Genesis worth playing in 2019? Let's take a look on this episode of Viewer Voted Review. Hello and welcome to another episode of Viewer Voted Review, the retro video game series where you, the viewer, get to choose what video game I review next. Now, last episode we reviewed Eco for the PlayStation 2, and I gave you 4 choices to vote on, and with 44% of the vote, you chose Jurassic Park for the Sega Genesis. Now, if you missed out on the last poll, don't worry about it. You'll have 4 choices to vote on at the end of this video. So in this review, I'll go over the history of the game, the gameplay, what I liked and didn't like, and also give you a pricing analysis to let you know if the prices will go up, down, or stay the same. So let's take a look at Jurassic Park for the Sega Genesis. Jurassic Park for the Sega Genesis is a video game based on the popular movie of the same name. It also borrows elements from the book. Developed by Blue Sky Software and published by Sega in 1993, Jurassic Park would go on to sell 250,000 copies in its first week. This game is also the first video game to use Sega's rating system, earning the rating of GA for general audiences. Because of the movie's overall appeal, a lot of work was put into the development of Jurassic Park for the Sega Genesis, including 3D models for the game's dinosaurs and even a $75,000 Velociraptor puppet. I guess you could say they spared no expense. Grant's movements were also motion captured to give the game a realistic look. While the game doesn't really look great now, I can tell you as a kid it was groundbreaking. Jurassic Park for the Sega Genesis has a pretty interesting gameplay concept. You can play as Grant or the Raptor. In Grant's mode, your objective is to get through the park and get to the helicopter to escape the island. The Raptor version has you avoiding security guards and making your way to the visitor center to face off against Grant. Grant's mode uses weapons which all require ammo. The Sega Genesis limited control scheme only allows for 3 buttons: selecting your weapon, shooting, and jumping. The default configuration has you selecting with A, but this can be changed in the menu for whatever is most comfortable. Because everything you use needs ammo, you need to be really wise about which weapon to use. You start out with darts, smoke grenades, and an electro shotgun, and I really wish that the electro gun had unlimited ammo because your first couple of tries in this game are going to have you searching for ammo a lot after you run out. You take damage anytime that you get hit by an enemy, or even if you fall from too high up. 3 lives are given, and if you die, you start from the beginning of that level. When you complete a level, you are given a passcode that can be used if you get a game over. First things first, this game has a pretty steep learning curve. Because you have to switch between your weapons and each dinosaur has a different weakness, learning which item can be used to maximize your inventory is something that takes a lot of time and can be pretty frustrating. Some dinosaurs take a bit to collapse, so you might think that you'll need an extra shot, but once you fire it off, they collapse. The Raptor stages aren't that much better. You don't have any ammo to manage, but you only can bite and jump. And you can jump farther than Grant, but you still have to deal with those pesky copies that can get on your body and avoid your mouth attack. Once you get used to the gameplay, you'll have to learn the layout of each stage. There are a ton of areas where enemies are just off screen but can still fire at you. Also, there are areas in certain stages that you can just accidentally jump to your death. These stages are pretty expansive, so it's hard to tell where you need to go. Add to that some of the scenery is usable, it makes the traversing of each stage difficult until you can actually figure out every nook and cranny of the stage. Then you have the frame rate, which really kills the fun of the game. Even having these little compy dinos moving around will cause some dips and make the game feel really slow, like running through some mud. Having a consistent frame rate is so important for a platformer to be enjoyable, and this just misses the mark. Based off the information that I went over, it's no wonder that a complete copy of Jurassic Park has only passed $10 4 times since Price Charting started tracking the prices in 2013. The game has sold very well, so there's a ton of copies available, and this game isn't the best, and also the sequel, Jurassic Park Rampage Edition, fixes most of the quirks of the original. And yes, Jurassic Park Rampage Edition is a sequel and different game even though the format is similar. Another reason why pricing is so low is because the naming convention made each system copy difficult to distinguish. If you had never played these games, I wouldn't blame you if you thought that Jurassic Park was the same game on the Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, and Sega CD, but they're all drastically different from each other. So should you buy Jurassic Park for the Sega Genesis? Well, it wouldn't be the first game that I would recommend for the system. Typically you'll find this game among a bundle of games that people are trying to offload, which is how I found mine. It's a really good game for $10, but there are plenty of other good games to spend your money on first. And that's the review for Jurassic Park for the Sega Genesis. Definitely a game that has shown its age, and I really wish that they would come out with an HD remaster of this. It would definitely solve a lot of problems that I had with the game. And now here's your 4 choices to vote on for the next video. You have Banjo-Kazooie for the Nintendo 64. Now I had this up for a vote last video and it just got beaten out by Jurassic Park, so it gets a second chance. Then you have Earthworm Jim for the Super Nintendo, Michael Jackson's Moonwalker for the Sega Genesis, and Beautiful Joe for the Nintendo GameCube. So just like before, you have 1 week to vote. The poll will be located in my community tab on my YouTube channel. So definitely make sure that you vote as soon as possible because you definitely don't want to forget. Let me know what you think about this review down in the comments below. Is there something that you would like me to add, remove, or just stay the same? And if you like this video, give it a like, and if you're new here, in addition to these retro video game reviews, I also have a series called Retronomics that views the pricing of video games and what affects those prices. So if that's something that you're interested in, consider subscribing. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Super Nintendo, and I'll see you next time.